I haven't done mic to mic in a while, and today is a very special one. It's one that's actually got me a lot excited and a little nervous because it involves the man who started it all. When I tell y'all that 9 times out of 10 people didn't believe in me, but it's the one person who did that makes the difference, this is the case. I want y'all to meet someone very special and very dear to me. This is the fellow who gave me my shot in 1995. I want you to please help him. Please help me welcome the one and only John Kulidas. John, how are you, partner?
I'm doing fine. Yep, it all started in '94 with your doing your Jim Durham. Not a lot of people probably don't even know who he is, but he was one of the greatest Bulls broadcaster of all time, and people would have known more of him if he had stayed with them during their championship runs. But when I heard you do that, I said, "This is the guy I want to be the voice of Chicago State sports radio."
Yeah, it was that day where you brought me in and you gave me the offer and I couldn't refuse it. It was my first foray into not just sports radio, but doing play by play because later on this year I'll celebrate my official 30th year anniversary because it was 30 years ago. Did my first, quote unquote, Jim Durham impression when we played Northern Illinois. And if you think about it, John, that was like the first of many quote unquote experiments that we took with Chicago State athletics.
Oh, yeah, that was quite an up and down experience, but it worked.
It did work because a lot of people were starting to catch on to what we're doing. And as I said at the top of the segment, there are people that were against us, even in the department. And as you and I have talked over the years, that was a fight and a half in and of itself, just to get recognition and just to get a chance to do it.
Yeah, but but when you go through a lot of adversity, regardless whether you're at the top of your game or someone just starting out, what that's what makes someone overcome things and get really great at what they do. And I think the adversity actually helped, even though it was not, you couldn't tell us at the time, but I'm sure that if we talk to a lot of people, who have made it in broadcasting, that in the beginning it was an uphill battle. So
yeah, it was. When then the calendar turned from 95 to January of 96, and the promotions folks at WCSU wanted a spot at the homecoming game, which we had our spot first. And that was a fight and a half. And we're like, look, you can't sit here with us. This is the broadcast area, or at least we thought was the broadcast area. And I love the fact that they were doing their promotions, but man, there were so many protocols not only that were made but also missed during that inaugural year.
Oh yeah, but we still survived it. It made us better, I think.
It did. It made us a lot better. It made the team a lot stronger. And when the team got broken apart, I was heartbroken. To see you leave, to see the original team leave. I stayed there at first until 2004, and then they brought me back as the play-by-play guy in 2008. But to see,
they know they made a big mistake with those two guys that they brought in.
Oh yeah, they made
Those,
they made a huge mistake.
yeah, because they had no idea of inner city basketball at all. They thought they were broadcasting, Ivy League basketball or something. I don't know what they were doing. Not that there's anything wrong with the Ivy League. I'm not
No.
trying to, but I mean, that's a whole different, that's a whole different vibe. This doesn't mean one's better than the other, but you can't do Ivy League basketball at Chicago State, on 95th and King on the south side of Chicago. Because I had to sit there and and be there with and listen to their broadcasts, and I would sit there and I don't know how much Tylenol I went through having headaches after listening to them.
I agree. I agree. And you know what's crazy? After the original team got broken up, and yes, I said that aloud. We got broken up. We all were forced to go our separate ways by 2004. 4 years later, I get a phone call, and they're saying, "Can you come back and do Chicago State basketball for us?" No.
Well, that was the biggest compliment, really.
Yeah, it was. It's a huge compliment.
And that shows you how magnanimous of a person you are, because you said yes when most people would have told them,
I know. I did.
Derogatory, a very derogatory,
Yep.
Answer to their question.
Yep.
So it was good. It was good that you sort of took a breath and took it back, and just looked ahead,
And at the time in 2008, between 2004 and 2008, I had gone through a lot of personal turbulence. End of 2007, I just lost my dad to prostate cancer, so I was trying to navigate through that. And when they asked me to come back, it was kind of like what I needed at the time to just get my feet back under me, because I had just lost my dad, and a lot of people, you included, know how close I was to my dad.
Yeah, it gave you an outlet. So in an odd way, it was good timing.
Yeah, it was good timing. My mentor, my dear friend John Kulidas, joining us here on Mic to Mic, sharing stories of not only that first year, but the years after that. We made broadcast crew and I made trips to Champaign, Illinois. We've made a trip to Missouri, and I actually wound up going to Missouri twice. The second time I did it myself when we had to go to Kansas City. That was 2002, and that was a sleepless night and a half for me. But it was so much fun, especially when we did our first ever sports show there, and you were a big part of forming that.
Yeah, that sports show was. Remember, before all the stadiums got bank names, we were saying,
Yep.
Who the hell is this person? Jack Murphy.
Yes. And that was one of the first times you came on the show with us when we were doing that segment, and you spat out, "Who the hell is Jack Murphy?"
Yeah, I think that got us rolling.
That one right there got us rolling. We had that show for 6 years, and we did it on campus. We did it off campus, but we made sure that we did it every day. And it was so much fun to do.
We were on the internet by that time, and we got letters from all over the world.
Yes, we did. And the letters, the folks in the department didn't understand at the time that when we got the letters from all over the world saying that we had a great show and it should anchor the station, that's what we were in the process of doing. And then by the time we had a chance to nail it down, say like 2001, that's when everything in the department went upside down.
Yeah, well, they got a new athletic director. That was the bad thing.
Yeah.
we won't mention his name because what good does that do us? But I mean, he thought he thought we were going to join the Big Ten or something.
I know.
There wasn't gonna. I mean, talk about delusions of grandeur.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that not the truth? And then, after that happened with the athletic director, I got pulled in and got a talking to because of, quote, how I do the games. I said I do it radio style. That's what I'm supposed to do. And that delusion of grandeur.
We're not doing TV.
Right. If we're doing TV, then I can make it a simulcast with no problem. But they didn't understand that we didn't have the capability at the time.
Well, the problem is let's face it, Chicago State really didn't have the infrastructure to be a Division I program when we were when we were covering it, and that was part of the problem. Because they just couldn't get the talent, to compete,
right.
on a. I mean, that was crazy opening the season against Nebraska. No. Remember we had those two guys that were, I don't know, they were from either they were some town in Africa.
Yeah.
And they were doing a morning show, which was a great show, but they were on the team, and they were telling me, if we lose another game by 40 points, I don't know what I'm going to do.
God, I remember.
Because that takes a toll. That's one thing that the administration didn't understand, that even though they were making money by, that was back when the NCAA didn't care how you got to 18 games as long as you got there.
Right.
You made the tournament.
Right.
So, they'd give Chicago State $100,000 to go to, to go to Nebraska and go in that sea of red.
Yep.
and then appreciate what that does to their student athlete, because you can't compete at that level. I mean, it's just not. It's not a matter of talent. It's just a matter of look at the money. Look how many years Nebraska was in the Big Eight. I mean, when they were in the Big Eight, we were playing Northeastern. That was our big game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And that was a great rivalry, and they should have built upon that instead of worrying about going halfway across the country, But I think that was the issue, that they didn't, they didn't understand. Because I talked to them, and they just looked at me and they go, "But look at the money, Mr. Kalite," And I said, "I know, but we're a learning institution, And and when who was the coach to start with an H when they were winning?
Hodges.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in their very early days, Holmgren.
I think that's his name.
That's when he got guys from Thornridge to play. Bonsack played guard for them.
Mm-hmm.
They were competitive. They beat UIC back in those days.
Yeah, they did. They did.
But that wasn't good enough for them. They wanted to beat Illinois. Come on.
We made a trip to Illinois in '96. Yeah. We made a trip down to University of Illinois.
Well, that was a victory in itself that we got to get to the Assembly Hall and carry.
Yeah,
I mean, what a great experience that was for everybody.
When we made that very first trip to University of Illinois, and at that time we were sitting up in the stands. That's where all the broadcast positions were before they revamped Assembly Hall. Just being there
before it became the State Farm Center.
It became the State Farm Center, absolutely. Just being there. Getting to see the Orange Crush where they were originally sitting, which was on the baseline. For those of you in Illinois that remember, they were sitting on the baseline, and just being there. And we went in knowing the fact we were going to get crushed, knowing the fact we were going to get beaten badly. But it was the fact that, the school said, you know what? Go for it. That was one of the few times they were with us,
I know.
And we fought for more.
And just being in that setting is, and it was a great thing that the University of Illinois was good enough to take a chance and play us, because they had nothing to gain. If they lost, it would be a total disaster.
Right.
And if they won, well, they should have won. But Lou Hudson was a great man. People don't give him enough. I don't think that university gives him enough credit.
Had a chance to meet Lou Henson, who was very, very gracious. In fact, gave us a pregame interview. And then I had the chance to meet. I had the chance to meet the U of I's play-by-play voice, Brian Barner.
Yeah, well, that guy. That guy was. That guy was legendary.
Yeah, and to meet him and Lou Henson in the same night.
Yeah. Well, that was the sad part, is you got better interviews from the opposing coaches than you got from our own coaches.
Because they didn't want to do them.
I know. They said, why you... The one guy, the only guy that was good was, remember the one year we won that whatever conference we were in, because we kept changing conferences so often.
Oh, yeah, we did.
But remember, we got that guy for 1 year and we won the conference. And we were a couple games away from going to the damn tournament.
Yes. Yeah. I remember that very well. And you're right.
He gave you a good interview.
He sure did. He sure did. I had to cut it down. I had to cut it down twice just to make it within the pregame show parameters.
Yeah, I know, because he wanted to talk.
Yes.
And I thought, this is the guy. And what did they do? They couldn't get rid of him fast enough.
Exactly. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun talking to him. That was one of the first points. I extended the pregame show to an hour. And I got flack for that. And they're like, why are you making this an hour? Do you see how much our coach wants to talk to us about the game?
Yeah, you don't cut the guy off. If he wants to talk, we're not a network, where we got to fit in other, this isn't NCAA, tournament where there's commercials and deadlines.
I mean, this isn't Learfield Sports, by the way, or Westwood One.
Yeah.
We were just starting out, and we just got lucky and landed a coach that loved to talk about the game. So I extended the pregame to an hour. I came to you like, this okay? He said, go for it. If the guy loves to talk, go with it. So we did.
Yeah, because Hodges really wasn't the greatest, even though he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I love Craig Hodges, but he was so focused on the game, we could only get a good 7 minutes out of him.
Yeah, I know.
We could only get.
I think he was. I think he was doing it for recreation more than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Then, like I said, I got hired back in 2008. Was actually hired there, and we could go on and on and on with stories about that situation with the athletic director that was there, Wayne Baskerville, who actually pulled me into a meeting and talked to me. And we went to followed the ladies to Missouri. And then I got to talk about this. This was a funny story. It was a big old mishap because I was supposed to accompany the teams to Houston for what is now Rio Grande Valley, UT Rio Grande Valley. And somehow there was a miscommunication, and the day before they left, no one called me and told me to be on campus because a plane was taken off.
Yeah.
That was 2008.
Wanted you to hang on to to tell.
Mm-hmm. They did, but they did get it right for the ladies independent tournament. I did make that, and I'm proud of that because that was my first trip to Houston. And then down, it was they were known as Texas Pan American at the time, UTPA, and was able to make that trip, cover the games there, and for the first time, I felt like, okay, I'm a D1 broadcaster now. Then they unfortunately fired Wayne Baskerville, and you know the rest of the story from there.
Yeah, but well, those presidents, especially the one that won't mention her name, but they said she took the credit card by mistake for the school and took her family on a world trip.
Oh gosh, boy, when that story hit the fan.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they were barely giving me enough money to, you know, to, you know, to stream, and
Mm-hmm.
then she's going all over the world.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. Well, there were some good times, and one of the best times is when I met you, and you gave me a chance. So
Well,
I cannot thank you
without
enough.
you, I'm not just saying that. I mean, the radio station. There were a lot of people that made the radio station great, but you were the cornerstone. I figured if I could just build one part of it, then the rest. Because then we got John Whitehead and a lot of other people in there.
Mm-hmm.
Started the news division. And the thing I'm most proud about is how we covered 9/11.
Yes,
I think we covered 9/11 better than some networks did.
we did. We did. I'll never forget. I'll never forget that day because when the second plane hit, everybody ran in the studio like quick, and we turned everything on
Yeah,
and
I
fired
know.
everything up.
I mean, we were more like that's when we learned what journalism was really about.
Mm-hmm. And it those times there I have such memories from. And again, I just want to thank you for giving me my first chance
Yeah,
and laying the
I
foundation
understand,
for me.
but you got to remember it's all reciprocal because by me giving you the chance, you also helped keep the radio station going and gave it credibility. So it was hand in hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because without you, they might have told me, "Sorry, John, this isn't working out."
This is
And
true.
remember Sam?
Oh God. How many fights
That's
did we
all.
have with
That's all we'll
Sam?
say is Sam.
How
We
many
won't. We won't.
how
We
many
won't
fights did we
use his
have with
last
Sam?
name because we don't want to run anyone
No.
down.
No.
But
But
Sam tried. But
how many fights did we have with Sam? Because he was trying to cut the sports staff out.
well, yeah, he says there's no time. There's no time for sports.
And we're like, says
Well, he grew
you.
up.
And it was so funny. We heard him say that, and yet the following summer, 1996, we were doing a show 5 days a week for an hour.
I know.
Most
Because
fun summer.
It finally got through his skull that they got rid of him for a lot of reasons that I won't get into.
Yeah.
Doctor, who really didn't like Sam was forget her name now. Not Dr. List. Who was the other really great
Cleveland.
lady that was
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland did all kinds of research on him and said, you said that you were teaching at Virginia Tech when you were teaching at a school for Indian children.
If there's one thing I will forever love about Karen Cleveland, she digs into her research.
Oh yeah.
She
and the thing was with and the thing is with Dr. Liz, she helped her and I, well, without her, I mean,
Yeah.
I helped give her a lot of information because she didn't really understand broadcasting, but she knew how to write, you know, what do they call, you know, where you get money for
Grants.
Yeah, she knew how to write. Remember, we got that mega grant.
Mm-hmm. We did.
That's what really helped.
One
Because all of a sudden we got the new desk for the on-air desk and all the microphones.
Mm-hmm. And we actually looked like a station after we got that mega grant.
Yeah. So she was instrumental.
Very much so.
I hats off to her. And she took a lot of. She went up against.
Yeah, they both Dr. List and Professor Cleveland went up against an administration that didn't want to see us succeed anyway.
Yeah, well, you know who helped us a lot too was, God rest her soul, was Dr. West.
Yes.
Believe it or not. And she was an English teacher, but she understood the power of radio. She grew up listening to Herb Kent, you know.
Mm-hmm. So I gotta tell the story before we get out of here. There was a doubleheader that we were doing at Chicago State one weeknight, and we didn't have two key parts for headphones for our headphone splitter. So what does John do, folks? He walks right into his office and pulls out this Mega Radio Shack guide. And he's fishing through that guide. He said, we need this part right here and this part right here. Where's the nearest Radio Shack? It's 95th and Western toward Evergreen Plaza. He looks at me and he says, Snow, you go get these parts. We will hold down the fort for you because you know the parts we're looking for, and come back.
Yeah.
How many times has Radio Shack saved our lives when we were broadcasting?
We were so lucky Radio Shack was around.
Yes, indeed.
A lot too.
Man, oh man. I had so much fun learning under this man and working with this man, and he is my original mentor, and he is one of my original heroes in broadcasting, and a very, very dear friend, John Kulidas, joining us on this special edition of Mike to Mike. John, I love you very much, and thanks for joining in. I appreciate it.
I'm very honored to be on the show. Thank you very much, Brian.